Hey guys, welcome back to Ravenclaw Reads. I'm Courtney and today I'm giving you my September wrap up. So this September I read 16 books. I really didn't think I was going to read that many because sort of toward the end of the month I was kind of stumped in finishing a few books. So glad that I got the ones that I got done. As a reminder to booktubers and myself, you don't have to read a certain amount of books to be a booktuber. You can read 2 books a month, you can read 4 books a month. I like to read a certain amount, and I'm trying to give myself grace on busier months, but September was a good month, so I'm here for it. So I'm going to give you my star rating for each book and then some highlights of it. I did something different this time in doing this wrap up. So usually I'm just going off of memory, which doesn't go well because it's hard to wrap up when you read something on September 1st. And so this time I used Notion to write down sort of bullet points of each book that I read. I haven't been able to find a really good way to use Notion, and this is perfect. So I'm actually using this on my iPad with my wrap up notes. So here we go. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. So the first book I read in September was the book Proposal. Okay, the book Proposal is a cute romantic comedy, and it follows a girl who is kind of down on her luck. She gets drunk one night and ends up emailing her ex-school rival. She had a big crush on him, and he's now an attorney. He gets the email. They start kind of writing back and forth, and he starts helping her write a book because she needs a manuscript ASAP for a publisher. And he's got all of this juicy gossip. Come to find out, his ex-wife, he's going through a separation. His ex-wife is the person who is the main character in all of these crazy stories. And so that kind of all explodes. But it was really cute, 3 stars. Next up, I read Thunderhead, which is book 2 of the Arc of Scythe series. I gave that 5 stars. This series is so good. I'm currently still in the middle of reading The Toll, and I put it down because I was trying to rush read it at the end of September, and I want to give the book the justice it deserves. It really is a great series. It is action-packed, and lots of new things come up for our main characters in book 2, and new people are introduced and characteristics of our old characters are revisited. And so there's quite a long list of people you're not going to like when you read that book. Next, I read Claudia and the New Girl. That's book 12 in the Babysitters Club series. If you're new here, I'm rereading the Babysitters Club series from the beginning. I read it as a child growing up in the 80s and 90s. Loved them, have loved them forever. And I think there is just a new transparency among us adults who are still reading them. I gave this book 5 stars. I actually just read this recently with my youngest, the graphic novel, but the written book is so much better, the way that it describes the new girl. And I think it's a great reminder of not losing yourself in others. And it's always interesting when there's conflicts within the BSC because they all really speak to having great friendships. But if somebody works outside of their unspoken norm, they are ostracized, and it's insanity. Okay, then I read Forget Me Not. I gave that 4 stars. I was so excited to read this book. The cover is amazing. It's a very cute romance that follows Amma and Elliot. It's a wedding romance. Amma is a wedding planner. Elliot is a florist. It's sort of second chance. They have an opportunity to work together, but they've also had some past dealings. My only criticism of this book was that I wanted more of Amma and Elliot, and I got way too much wedding. Like, I get that's their job, but I really didn't care about the wedding. And so that's why I got 4 stars. Then I read Wings of Fire, the Dragonette Prophecy. I gave that 5 stars. This was a graphic novel that was a special request from my 10-year-old Reagan. She loves the series and wanted me to enjoy it as well. It is a lot of world building in this first book. Very quick read. Loved the graphics on it, and I'm looking forward to get to book number 2. Then I read Drowning, and I gave this 4 stars. This book is thriller-esque. And it is not something that I normally would pick up because I'm not a fan of flying. I'm getting better, but I'm not a fan. And so to read a book about a plane crash is out of bounds for me. But it's actually really good, full of adventure. After the plane crashes, the main part of the book is all about the rescue journey. And so if that interests you, you'll really like that. It is pretty heavy though. There's lots of talk of disaster, obviously death, suicide, and just the way people act in these types of situations. It was interesting to me reading this just after visiting New York, because it just made me think of 9/11 and what people do in large scale tragedies. And so very heavy, but very good. After reading Drowning, I definitely need something a little bit lighter, so I ended up reading Jessie and the Dance School Phantom. Now, this is actually book number 42 in the series, and I really didn't want to read it out of order. However, I had placed a hold for this book probably 6 or 7 weeks back, and it finally came through, and one person was waiting, so I just felt like I had to read it because it was right there. In the long run, I wish I would have not read it, because it didn't hit for me. I gave it 3 stars, which is as low as I'll go for the rereads. It's pretty boring, and it was like sort of a whodunit idea as things were happening to Jessie. She received the lead in her dance school performance, and of course everybody's upset about it. They all happen to be white. Jessie's the only black person that we know of in Stony Brook, really, and she has things stolen from her. She has just like her whole rehearsal time gets sabotaged, and so it was pretty obvious to see what was happening from the beginning, so that part I didn't like. And it's another instance of Jessie being othered in the series, which I really would love to do a deep dive on that. Next up, I read Reading Up a Storm. That's a cozy mystery. I gave 4 stars. I love this series because the library series idea and concept is so cute to me. A little library inside a lighthouse is everything. So in this book, Lucy's solving another mystery. On the island, 2 boat goers, I think it's a husband and a wife, or a man and a woman. She's way younger than him. They are boaters, and they survive this crazy crash, and then all of a sudden the guy ends up dead. So I'll leave it there because it's a mystery, so you have to figure it out for yourself. But I gave that 4 stars. Like I said, I really like Eva Gates' writing, and I like the series itself. Next, I read The Name Drop by Susan Lee. I gave this 4 stars. I was waiting for this book. I think I pre-ordered it maybe in the springtime. She's also the author of the book Soulmates, such a good book. This book follows 2 people who are in New York for job prospects. The girl is Jessica, I want to say. That's her American name, and she is an intern at a company her father works at. Her father hates the company. And then I want to say Joshua. I could really be pulling that out of nowhere. But the guy is the CEO of the company's son, visiting from Korea to kind of see how things work so he can take over the company. Well, the son does not want to take over the company, nor does he want to be the CEO's son. And Jessica just wants a chance to be seen. And so because of the way their names are pronounced in Korean, they end up flip-flopping spaces or places, and they do sort of like a trading places scenario. I thought it was really cute, sort of slow. I think that's kind of the gist. It's only like 280 some pages, and so it should be quicker than what it was. After that, I kind of hit a dip because I ended up reading Things We Left Behind. I gave this 2 stars. It is the 3rd book in the Knock 'Em Out series. We've been waiting for it. If you've read this series, you know how good it is. And this book just ruined the series for me. It was not good at all. 2 stars. I have no words for it. Moving on. Then I read The Long Game by Elena Armis. I give this 4 stars. Now, I've read 2 other books of Elena Armis's. What was it? American Roommate Experiment, and there's one more. I didn't read The Spanish Love Deception. I couldn't get through it. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. But I had scored both of those, rated them pretty low. This is 4 stars, and it's the best one that I've read. The main character goes home again. Her father runs a successful soccer league, and there's a little bit of a scandal that the daughter has, so she's sent off to a small town to sort of like stay out of the limelight and work on a different part of the company, which happens to be a youth soccer team. She gets the help from a local guy in town who also helps with the league, but he's an ex-professional soccer player, and nobody knows he's living there. And so they hit it off and support the kids. There was a bit of family drama in there that wasn't necessary. After that, I read You Again. It was my Book of the Month Club pick, and I gave that 4 stars. It was touted to be like the book version of When Harry Met Sally. And while they do go back and forth in time and keep running into each other, I didn't think it was much like When Harry Met Sally. It was more like Groundhog's Day. And so there was likable characters, very cute romance. It could have been shorter, but the overall part of the book was great, but too much Groundhog Day, which gave it 4 stars instead of 5. Then I read Babysitters on Board. This is Super Special #1, which is the next book in publishing order. And so I gave this 3 stars because it was completely unrealistic. In this book, we follow all of the babysitters who are on a fully paid trip on a cruise and to Walt Disney World. Mallory's family wins a trip, or their boss, the dad's boss, gives them a trip, and they decide to have Marianne and Stacy come along to help watch the kids like they did in Seaside. And then Christy catches wind of it. Watson bankrolls Christy, their family, Claudia, and who's left? Dawn. And so they go on this trip, and they all kind of do their own thing on the trip. They're not even hanging out together. Claudia and Dawn become infatuated with boys, and it's like kind of a way to further dig into who they are as people, I think. And also it's a great way to lay the groundwork for who Mallory is as a babysitter. Then I read Maybe Meant to Be. I ended up giving this 2 stars because I just feel like, what did I just read? It's basically high school students trying to figure out their sexual identities and why they have to live up to other people's standards. I think I was just too old for this book. Kennedy's reading it. She likes it. But 2 stars for me. Then I read Goodbye, Stacy, Goodbye. This is book 13 in the Babysitters Club series. So lots of Babysitters Club this month. I ended up giving this 5 stars. As I said in my weekly reading vlogs, probably from this point until about book 26, it's all going to feel pretty fresh for me, as I don't remember reading these like at all. And this book was so good and somewhat sad. Watching Stacy leave, she's my favorite character. And having her move back just seems like such an irrational decision after they just made this huge transition into the city. She's only been to Stony Brook or in Stony Brook for about a year, and then she has to move. So that just seemed wild to me. And then the idea that the babysitters were selling a bunch of the Stacy's home items for the family, so they have space to move into their new apartment, was also very wild. And then the last book I read in September was Woke Up Like This. I ended up seeing this sort of like on my Instagram and various like locations like that. It's by Amy Lee. And I love her writing. She wrote X's and O's. And she wrote Set on You. She has another book coming out, The Catch. I think it's coming out in spring. But Woke Up Like This is basically 13 going on 30. I ended up giving this 3 stars because it literally is copy paste of the movie. And if you've watched the movie, then you've read this book. I thought it was pretty good, just like the movie's pretty good, but too much like the same. So 2 sort of arch nemesis rivals in high school hit their heads and wake up. It's 13 years later, and they are now 30, and they have to figure out their whole life and how to get back to where they were. So yeah, that was my reading for the month of September. Some pretty good picks, some mid picks, and some not great picks, but it's all an adventure, and I loved every bit of it. So comment down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. And make sure you check out my October TBR. That one's chock filled. And yeah, thanks so much for all my new subscribers. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.